Have you ever dreamed of starting your own epic adventure? Becoming one of the heroes everyone depends on? The one destined to bring light back to the world? All while traveling with your beloved friends? Sounds perfect, right? Well, a little too perfect. In fact, that's not the story we're diving into today. We will go through a different kind of journey, one filled with struggle, resignation. A story where you're left powerless, unable to control the chaos around you, trapped forever in a course of events you cannot change. Welcome, I am Frapollo94, and today we will delve together into the obscure adventure of In Stars and Time. But unfortunately, before we can do that, we have to start from the beginning. But not just any beginning, one that calls itself Start Again. This game greatly differs from your usual adventure. You do not start from square one. You enter into the world while being already in the final dungeon, with our smiling main character, Siffrin. The last day, the last castle, the last floor. You are ready to take on your final opponent and save the world by defeating the king. But there is something weird right off the bat. Siffrin behaves as if he already knows what's supposed to happen, what he's supposed to say, and when he's supposed to go. And to explain it, I think a demonstration is worth 1,000 words. It is not clear how or when this happened, but Siffrin is stuck forever instead of a loop. From his thoughts, it's understandable he went through these dialogues countless times already. But despite all of that, he still shows a smile to the party. Why does he smile though? The reason is very simple. He knows the mission is gonna fail. He already fought the king, and they already lost. He is stuck in here, trying to figure out a way to exit the loop, but he doesn't want his party members to realize what's happening. How do you think they would react if they knew all their efforts are in vain, and that they're just gonna die against the king? But let's stop for a second with the story, and let's take a look at our party. For sure, this seems a party ready to take on the final dungeon with those levels, and there are also some items already in the storage for us. If you still didn't understand it, this is not a normal RPG. You do not accompany the characters in their adventure. It feels like buying a Pokemon game and finding out there is already saved data from someone else. You don't know the story which brought to that moment. In this game, you can feel the others thanks to Siffrin. Our characters are the fighter, coming from Jovente, the housemaiden, coming from the town of Dormont, blessed by the change god, the researcher from Kaboo, and the traveler. It's you, and nothing else. I guess, after all this time passed in the loop, Siffrin even forgot who he was, if the only thing he can say is, it's you. And then there is the kid. In this world, people got frozen in time because of this king who is residing in the last fortress, the house. And judging from how Siffrin reacts, I think he almost reached his limit. He will always prevent you from going into unnecessary zones, where maybe there is nothing useful, because that's not the right way. He memorized all the dialogues he has had with the party in each place and in each moment. The tier you saw before is a product of the king's work, and freezes in time whoever touches it. That's why we looped back, and every time you do that, Sif loses it a little bit more. Do you remember the dialogue we saw a couple of minutes ago? Well, now it's slightly more frustrated. Sif doesn't seem to be able to control his power, and this already got me very curious. For now, we have only been looping once we die, once we reach a game over. But how is a situation considered worthy of a game over? How does the loop understand when it's time to go back? Is it when we die? Is it when someone in our party dies? And while I'm blubbering, the party arrives to the tutorial battle. Tutorial for the player, of course, because Sif already knows everything about this battle. He fought it countless of times. The enemies in questions are sadness, the physical manifestation of negative emotions which infests this house and is slowly spreading in the outside world. And with that, let's jump into the battle. The battle system follows the usual elemental Oh, this music is fire! Okay, no, sorry, I ruined the atmosphere, I know, I'm sorry, let's continue. The battle system follows the usual elemental affinity, with the spice being in the elements themselves. You are playing rock, paper, scissors with your opponents in here. And in the majority of cases, you can figure out their symbol by looking at their hands. Rock, paper and scissors are only a few of the various types of craft, which could be compared to the magic, the ability to craft reality as you want. Your different party members have different elements in their normal attack, and also skills for more different damage and healing, with cooldowns after being used. There is just one weird feeling I had while playing this chapter that I want to express with you. I don't know if you can perceive it by watching this video, but these random battles are not fun. But not in a negative way. It feels like you are not supposed to have fun with them. It feels like you are not supposed to fight them at all. They are HP sponges, which obstacle you through the corridors while trying to reach the king. The rewards for defeating them are awful. It almost feels like they are a loss of time. And considering everything we saw about Sif being almost at its limit, and we having already repeated the loop over and over again, it's clear that they are a waste of time. If there is a thing I loved, is how quickly you're introduced to the team dynamic in just a few dialogues. This team really seems a team. A team which went through multiple missions and adventures together. It really feels that they trust each other, even in a moment of tension like this one. You know who is the only one who is still kinda mystery? Our main character. From the role we're playing as, we should be a pretty joyous person. But is that really sure? Was Sif really like that at the start of the adventure? Was his behavior influenced by the resets? And again, did the resets start to happen in the castle? Or did Sif have multiple moments across the journey where he got some checkpoints? And the most important of all, will this really end once we defeat the king? While going through the various rooms, Sif already knows the solution to all puzzles, all the locations of the Star Crest, which are special keys to progress, and the answers to give to the dialogues of the others. The struggle is not to have to deal with the dungeon or the enemies, it is to deal with yourself, to maintain the happy expression, already knowing that you are gonna meet your doom against the king. Our character became very delusional of the current state of affairs. He doesn't even know if there is a way to escape the loops. He even wonders if he will ever be able to wear dresses again. The reason we are on this journey is to prevent the time freezing from the king. But is there any difference between freezing time and being stuck inside of a loop? Is Sif really not stuck in time as well? The only thing which allows him to continue is clinging onto the possibility that one time, for one single loop, things may go in a different way. He has to witness over and over again to his friends seeing the frozen people in the house, but still having to keep moving forward, because they are sure they will be able to make a difference. Or at least, so they think. Here, we also get some more information about the Change God. Change God is a deity worshipped in this world which encourages people to pursue change during the course of your life through any possible ways. You can change your clothes, you can change your behavior, you can change yourself, you can grow, you can change your appearance, you can do whatever you want as long as you change. It is the god worshipped in Vagard and in the same house we are dwelling in right now. Also, our housemaiden received the Change God blessing. She is able to stop people from being stuck in time. And even if she cannot be stuck in time, what she can do is only temporary. If we don't stop the king, everyone will get frozen. One nice detail you may notice is that every time there is an item you can take, the game will ask you if you want to find it, because Sif already know where the items are. You have to decide when it's the correct time to do so. After all, it would be pretty suspicious if you immediately knew the location of every single item. But even if you keep the facade, you cannot keep going forever. Sooner or later, you will burst. If on one side, being able to talk to someone could help Sifrin, God only knows what would happen if the others were to realize their mission is useless and irrelevant. The fighter happens to hear us during our screams, and Sifrin ends up laughing to cover the depression. His own memories are getting fuzzy too, not even remembering what was his usual behavior in the past. Just how many loops did Sif go through already? And then there was a dialogue in which I definitely had no idea what was I even supposed to say. I think it encapsulates all the insecurity of Sif in a couple of words. You can choose between "if we beat the king" or "say nothing." What would you say? If we beat the king? If you want them to know you do not trust them, that you do not believe it's possible? Say nothing? Gonna stay silent and watch the events repeating? But as Sifrin himself is gonna repeat just a couple of meters later, he only wants them to stay happy. Until they all die. With that, we are once again at the final room before the king, where you can exchange a couple of words with everyone. Maybe, if Sif hadn't already heard these, they would almost encourage him a little. They would almost give him some more hope. But it's far too late for that. It's time to go for the last room, the final act of the story, the battle against the king. The king stands still in front of us, covering his tears with his hands and expressing his ideals. The king wants the world to stand still in place, maintaining its beauty forever, never changing again. But it's clear we did not come here with the idea of changing his mind with words after all. And so, the battle starts. And let me say, music is pretty poggers! Okay, sorry, let's go back. The king is a rock type, and it's a diabolic decision, because even if the fighter is a rock type too, and so will not gain much benefit from it, the researcher knows some pretty good paper crafts, so theoretically we have a little bit of advantage in here. And also, this is the first battle in which I noticed it, the lower your character's HP is, the worse they look like. I mean, to be fair, this is the first battle where this is even relevant. All the other enemies were a pushover compared to this. The king is very tough. He has a lot of HP and hits incredibly hard. If you even want to have a chance, you need to manage carefully the turns you have. Remember, you do not consume mana or MP to cast crafts, you just need to have some turns cooldowns. And characters like Sif or the fighter know some moves to give the turn to another character immediately, which means you can refresh some craft skills much sooner. The most powerful skills in your arsenal are definitely the AoE healing from the House Maiden and the slow spell from the Researcher. Just like any turn-based RPG in the world, the more turns you have, the better, and the less turns the opponent has, the better. But looking at this battle, looking at the strategizing I was doing some metagaming, a thought crossed my mind. Maybe Sif thinks this is not winnable because the king has too many HP and they were not able to manage well their supplies. Maybe we can actually do this? Or maybe we underestimated how many times Sif already attempted this battle. Once again, the same fate appears in front of Sif, being left powerless just a couple of steps from the end of the journey. And in this hopeless situation, the only thing he can do is thinking about which death he prefers. And then, the king strikes. Oh well, we lost, but there is always the next loop, right? That must be what Sif told himself the first times. Now it's different. You did not die in the way you wanted, but there is always the next loop. Am I right? I gotta say, I love the fact that the game made me think for even a second that it was actually doable. Like, it didn't feel predictive or scripted anymore. It felt like we genuinely had a chance, despite the game telling us multiple times it was impossible. But maybe there is still a way to do it. Maybe we have to change something in what we do? Maybe we have to be careful to not make our friends suspicious? But in any case, we are back to square one. Even if Sifrin is starting to forget, some core memories materialize and stay with him forever, such as the feeling of defeat against the king. While going through the house this time, there are gonna be some differences. For example, at the start, Sif doesn't say anything anymore, doesn't say the stuff about repeating the same dialogues over and over again. And then he sees himself walking in the corridors. Plus, we don't really have to follow dialogues anymore, we can just lose ourselves in our thoughts. I appreciate this idea a lot. It is able to help you keep up the pace, while also realizing that Sif has to go through these exact same dialogues every single time. But even if I appreciate it as a player, this was the moment in which I felt Sif became something bad. Sif became the save scammer, repeating events, fast-forwarding through dialogues, trying to not care anymore about conversations. He's not talking to his teammates anymore. If that person can only respond in the same way over and over again, then they are just an NPC. I think in this loop in particular, Sif was particularly tired of hiding it anymore. The researcher notices it. We are constantly able to only take the correct directions and only loot the correct stuff needed to proceed. But Sif doesn't care. He's sick of this. He's sick of all of this. And so, he blacks out again. By the time we complete the final puzzle, I can feel our team knows. Our team knows something is wrong. Is this just gonna end with another loop? Or maybe no. The whole party realized something is wrong, and the response they have is to give us their support. The kid gives us a candy, and everyone else is smiling. Sif doesn't think he already saw this. Is this a new event? Did we really reach a part he still didn't conceive in his mind? Maybe there are more outcomes he still doesn't know about. But, regardless of that, it's too late to think about it, because we're in the final room again. It's just a matter of seconds before the next loop starts and... Wait. This seems new too? We have one final confrontation with our party. Did we fail again? Did they discover us? Or is there even a reason to keep up this facade? Even reassuring them doesn't work anymore. And so, Sif decides, even for just a single second, to share his pain. But it's just for a second, because after that, it is changed to being hungry apparently, and the kid provides us with more fantastic food. Okay, I guess Sif still wants to keep it a secret, but I think even for a single second, putting down the mask was definitely therapeutic. Imagine being in trouble so big that you hate yourself, and you desperately need someone else to talk to. But at the same time, you do not want to do that, for various reasons. Maybe you don't want to annoy them, or maybe you don't want to hurt them. And even there, in the end, deep inside, you know you really want to talk to them. We don't know if this outcome was positive or not. But how can Sif be sure the correct way to try to change something is to not make them notice? Maybe it's the exact opposite. Maybe showing how vulnerable he is, being involved in this mess with no one, is the real key. Each member of the group loves us and wants to see us happy, holding hands, giving snacks, providing support. But once again, it's too late. The king is in front of us. But maybe this time Sifrin feels a little bit more motivated. Your friends are there to help you, and you are there for your fantastic friends. The fighter, the housemaiden, the researcher, and the kid. Wait a second. Did you ask yourself why their real names are not reported? Did you ask yourself what are their real names? You cannot know that. You do not know that. You know why? Because Sifrin forgot about them. The friends who just supported him. The friends who encouraged him to keep holding on. Was it craft power? No. The more you repeat an action, the more you may get used to it. Regular exposure to pain can increase your pain tolerance. Why Sif wants to skip all the rooms? Because he knows that there is nothing useful in there. Why you can skip dialogues? Because they are not relevant. Sifrin arrived to the point where he knows everything needed to know to proceed. Why even bothering doing anything else? Why even bothering checking anything else? Why even bothering remembering anything else? Are the names of those who accompanied you for this whole journey, for weeks, months, years, important? In front of this realization, Sifrin just wishes this all to be ended. This is the first moment where Sifrin really hopes that the strike of the king arrives as fast as possible. This is the moment where Sifrin really wishes to die. And so, the king strikes. But even when the hope seemed completely lost, our friends are still there for us. The king still didn't beat them. They are all still standing. And suddenly, as if a light turned on in Sifrin's brain, all their names become clear to us as they. Isabeau, the fighter. The mountain which will protect us at all costs. Odile, the researcher, carrying with herself an incommensurable amount of wisdom. Bonnie, the kid, so brave, always ready to try to boost our morale. And then, Mirabelle. She truly believes in us. She knows we can do it. With their effort, the king is in critical condition, and you're all still alive. Did something really change? Did the power of friendship really bring us to victory? There is only one way to find out. And so, Sifrin strikes. It's over. The power which was freezing everything is gone. Sif and the others are unharmed. And he remembers everything. God damn it! No, I'm not trolling when I say when I'm I don't even know. I don't want to cut this part when I'm talking. While I'm recording the audio for this, a tear actually fell from my eye. Maybe it's because I have like 3 hours of sleep though. But maybe that was Sifrin's mistake. He cared so much about protecting his friends from this knowledge of the loops that he ended up slowly corroding himself, while not realizing everyone else was in there to protect him as well. Your friends stayed by your side until the end. Your journey is finally over. And with that, everyone can leave the house and continue with their normal life. Huh? You wake up in a peaceful garden. Birds are singing. Flowers are blooming. No, sorry, we are not going in that direction. Sorry. Flowers are blooming. We are greeted by Mira. And from what she tells you, you already know we have to start again. And that's the end of the prologue. I don't know how you are feeling, I really hope I was able to narrate this well, but after I finished the start again, I had to like wait 1 or 2 hours before starting in Stars and Time, because I really felt in burnout, even if the game lasted like 5 hours at most. There was something very heavy in the themes treated in there, also because I kinda recognize some of my behaviors in Sifrin. My stupidity, mostly. Now, if I was a min-maxer YouTuber, I would just end the video and divide it into 2 parts to have more content, also because we're almost at Christmas and I have exams of university very soon, so I'm gonna die. But no, we jump into the next chapter immediately. But please, if you are liking what you are seeing, consider subscribing, leaving a like, a comment, whatever you want, okay? I also stream weekly video games if you're interested. Okay. Let's go back to the video. And the way in which we are introduced to this new chapter is with another cutscene. Let me start by saying, if you liked the animated cutscenes in the prologue, here you will be ecstatic. There are many more, and they are of a much better quality than before. The game is set the day before you enter into the house. The day before you're supposed to fight the king. It seems just a little weird. It's not clear if we are still aware of the loop, or if we forgot everything again. And if you look at Sif in the menu, he seems happy? He seems nothing like what he was in Start Again. The stuff we have in our inventory changed, and we have memories of our friends this time. Probably because in this moment of time, we still did not forget them. But still, there is something weird. It's as if he forgot everything that happened in the castle, and now we're in the first loop for the first time. Let's just keep track of this for later. And the last thing I want to say before jumping more into the gameplay is something personal I perceived in here at the start. And it's also the reason for which this part will be spoken with a much different voice. For now. The atmosphere is completely different from the previous chapter. You do not trust me? Okay, 3, 2, 1... I bet you're feeling pretty stupid right now, am I right? Our party is almost ready to enter into the house, now the hideout of the king, and bring peace to the whole world. Mira greets us and tells us to come to the clock tower once we are done with our business. And then we are free to explore the village. I like the change in atmosphere at the start. I feel like if we had been thrown into another game which starts already with an incredibly depressive tone, then it would have been too heavy. Everyone here in the town of Dormont is happy to see us and wishes the best for our final battle. They all have friends or parents caught by the freezing phenomenon, or they're gonna be frozen soon as well. If we don't hurry up, it's gonna be over. And by praying at the giant Change God statue in the middle of the town, we can get some more knowledge of what's happening. This entity, which calls himself the King, apparently appeared out of nowhere and took possession of the house, main place where the Change God is worshipped. And then we finally get to know something more about the party which accompanied us for all this time. Mirabelle is a housemaiden at the house where the king is now residing and was blessed by the Change God to not fall for the freezing power and save Vagard. Yes, she got literally blessed by a deity to never be stuck in time. Isabeau was the only defender of his village with enough balls to follow you on this mission. Okay, that's the old cliché of, everyone is scared of following you in the mission, but then there is the one single defender which it's still pretty good, let's continue. Odile comes from the village of Kaboo and is very curious about Vagard and is working on a secret research she never tells anyone about. And then we have Bonnie, a very brave kid who wants to free their sister from the curse of time. Oh, and of course there is Siffrin. You met with the others after defeating a powerful sadness and followed them because you had nothing else to do. Eh? I mean, pretty heroic, don't you think? Or maybe that's what Sif wants himself to believe. The reality is, there is a much deeper reason. Sif enjoys a lot the time spent with everyone. Therefore, he wants to provide all the possible support for them to succeed in their mission. There is one more thing which was already made very clear by the Change God dialogue and will become even more evident very soon. Siffrin does not know what to do after defeating the king. It's almost as if he was conceived specifically for this journey and only for this journey. Okay, since we're in a much more relaxing atmosphere, I'm gonna make a predict, and I will not modify this part of the Word document even if the audio is recorded in post, okay? I predict at one point Sif will revolt against the player at some point because of what happens in the future. That's my predict. Let's continue. Since we finally have a little bit of happiness, I decide to spend some time going around the various houses and talking to the villagers, one of which introduces us to a, tutorial of how to play rock, paper, scissors. I gotta be honest, for a second when I started this battle, I thought Sif was actually gonna kill this random kid. But no, it's not a real battle, it's just supposed to remind you how to play this game, in case you have been living under a rock for the last 20 billion years and forgot how to play rock, freaking paper and scissors, baby! And also, we can talk to the other members of our party to know more about them and their future plans. Mirabelle will go on a pilgrimage. As a follower of the Change God, she, more than anyone else, must do it. With a pilgrimage, huge changes will come, and in case you still didn't realize, the Change God wants you to change. Yeah. That's peculiar, all the people in this village seem to be deeply obsessed with this things changing thingy. There is even a chef who thinks even if they get frozen, they should be happy, because that's a change. Bonnie's sister lives in Bamboosh, and also Bonnie seems annoyed by our presence. But now let's relax for a second, because I have to introduce you to the real Chad, the goat of the group, Odile. I love Odile in all her aspects. Playstyle in battle, being able to hit very hard, being the sort of mage in the group, and also being able to slow down opponents. Plus, I love the composed approach she keeps in every discussion, while also seeming so powerful. There is a scene where we are all sleeping, and they're all scared of waking up Odile, and then she wakes up, and everyone gets scared as hell because she may destroy everything. And at last, even if it's said that Sifrin takes the lead during the battles, it is clear to my eyes that the majority of the decision-making progress is and has been part of her resolution. Who could have said I would have fallen in love with a 2D character?
It's just a 2D character, okay? She's not gonna go out with you. She's not there for you. She doesn't care about what you do, okay?
Huh? What? I'm supposed to make the video about the video game. Okay. And at last we have Sifrin. Okay. Hey Odile, do you want to see my video game collection? Okay, let's go to Sif. Sif doesn't remember anything. He doesn't remember where he comes from. Even if a few times he jokes about being from the space. And you know, for us that saw the starting scene introduction, I guess that's kind of a speculation moment. Also, he tends to use stars as an exclamation, and then the game is called In Stars and Time. Stars! And then there is a 4-leaf clover which apparently reminds him of something that comes from the sky! Okay, I'm gonna stop. The last character we will talk about is Isabeau. I like the chemistry between Sif and Isabeau. They seem the chillest friends ever. They say terrible jokes, yet they both love them. It's that kind of language you develop after spending a lot of time with someone. I would love to go eat something with them at dinner or something. Wait. He's moving his hand towards us, but then brings it back. Oh, wait a second, huh? Ah, I see what's going on. Oh. Turns out the fighter, the one so strong and indestructible like the Rock, has also a lot of difficulties to express his real feelings. Oh. Sorry, let's continue. Isabeau instead, after defeating the king, probably wants to become a clothing designer. And the reason he is in this part of the town is because in here there is the favor tree, the biggest tree in the area. It is considered very important by the Change God followers because it's the tree which changed the most by becoming big. And it's a tradition to make a wish under the tree to have good luck in your travels. And that's why, once Isabeau leaves, we're able to make a wish. We can basically choose which one of the party members would we like to follow after the end of the journey, and from what I said like a minute ago, I think you already know what I'm gonna say. Odile, she's the GOAT! And just like that, our wish is made. Let's really hope it's gonna come true. I would love to spend more time with Odile. Look, even in the clock tower cutscene, Isa, Bonnie and Mira hug each other while us and Odile stay away. It's a sign of destiny. I love Odile. Oh yeah, sorry, I'm rushing a little bit. We reunited with the others at the clock tower and had a nice meal together. Not long before Mira interrupted everything for a very emotional and wholesome moment where she expresses all of us her deepest gratitude for following her. Something you should do with my channel as well. And then, during the night, since there were less beds, we have to share the bed with Isabeau. Oh, we have to share the bed with Isabeau. Isabeau tries to tell us something. But unfortunately, for today, he is not able to speak out loud his feelings. Maybe, once everything is over with the king, we're gonna be able to hear him. But enough chatting, the night ends, and for our group, it's time to start the final act of their journey. Using the 5 orbs they acquired, we can access into the house. Long time no see, idiot. It's not long before our sadness already blocks our way. And mirror dialogue, doesn't this exact same dialogue remember you something, maybe? You know, something we talked about like 10 minutes ago? But in any case, welcome to the new combat. Can I say I love the new battle sprites, they look so gorgeous! And they even change during the attack itself, if you are low HP, if you die, if you get frozen. Now that the battles are supposed to be more fun than before, there was a really big revamp, and I'm all here for it. If in Start Again all the battles were boring and useless, here I had fun with the tutorial! There is also a new mechanic. If you do 5 elemental attacks of the same element in a row, then you're gonna unleash a special all-out attack of that element. It not only deals tremendous damage, but also almost fully heals all the members of your party. And with these new little tools at our disposal, our exploration of the house can start. Now, I know this may seem out of the blue, but I want you to remember the dialogue which is gonna come up. It's gonna be important much later, okay? We find a key with a keychain shaped like a circle inside a bigger circle inside a bigger circle. This is part of the House of Change Belief, and every single house maiden should have one. Mira has one in the form of a brooch, but you can also not wear anything like this, since breaking traditions is also part of the Change Belief, okay? Remember this because it's gonna be relevant in like an hour or something. And okay, up to now we had fun getting to know our party members and blah blah blah, but did you maybe, just maybe, forget what are we playing? In the first floor of the house, we meet our doom. Welcome back to the garden. But this time, Sif does remember what happened. And from how he talks, it seems it's the first time he experiences the loop. Unless he forgot about the other times, of course. But around this point, I was almost thinking about another possibility. What if the events of Start Again are what actually brought to this point? After Start Again, we lost all the knowledge and we got looped to the previous day, gaining more time to change something? Maybe. It's a possibility we cannot discard. But our speculation is stopped by a new element entering into the mix. Do you remember those tutorial messages that appeared previously with the squared parentheses? What is that voice you've been hearing this whole time? You should come to the favor tree when you have a few seconds. Stardust. For now, Sif doesn't take the loop too badly, honestly. He is actually quite happy. I mean, he just died and he's still alive. That's fantastic. Am I right? And then, once we are alone, we are able to talk under the tree of favor and say hello to our new friend, Loop. Loop is an entity very similar to a star, and they apparently know everything about us, from the whole loop thingy to the single silver coin we are carrying with us since Start Again. Oh, actually, yeah, I forgot to mention this. In Start Again, we had a silver coin in our inventory from the start, and even here we already have a silver coin. They know about that, they know about our party, our mission, and this is because they are apparently able to read our menus? What? Who the fuck are we talking to? This is like break the fourth wall, the character. Loop offers to help us, and that's quite nice. It feels very good having some sort of guidance. Okay, this seems very stupid and you maybe want to punch Loop in the face, but if you think about it more, it makes sense. Like, now we know what caused our death. We can just go back and try again. Our deaths are now a way to learn and get more experience on the house, until we're gonna be able to reach the top and fight the king. Like, in a certain sense, this is basically the moment in which we start playing Fear and Hunger. You take advantage of every expedition inside of the house to learn more stuff, gain more knowledge, and understand where to go. Also, Loop breaks the fourth wall again by telling us we can hold shift to fast forward dialogues. Who cares about what your party is saying after all? Oh no, is Sifrin already turning into a safe scout? Back inside the castle! And that's the beginning of what happened in Start Again. Slowly losing the perception of the people that surround you and the events, starting to see them only as something useful or useless. No, I want to try to preserve him a little. I know maybe this, materially speaking, does nothing and the events will not change, but I still want to roleplay a little. I really just hope Sif doesn't get broken in the same way as before. And now, back to the exploration. The trap gets easily disarmed, and we also discover another peculiarity of the loop. We have more freedom compared to Start Again. This time, every time you get a game over, you can decide where to loop to. Inside the castle, on the town of Dormont, and probably the more floors we unlock, the more zones are gonna be accessible to us in the loops. And we get a few noteworthy informations while exploring. We get more informations about the change belief. It would be a shame to keep yourself from changing just because you don't want to hurt someone's feelings. And apparently, people here in Vagard have an aversion towards crabs, what the hell? And then we reach this enemy. This type of enemy is very important because it drops a star crest and allows you to proceed in the house by destroying the tears of the king. Also, I'm sorry if this may seem too specific to some of you, but while going through these rooms, I kept finding some similarities between dialogues in Start Again and dialogues of this game. And the house itself is different in the two versions though. Is this just to give the area a fresh look? Or is there a reason for which it's different? Nah, maybe I'm reading too much into it, let's just continue. First floor was very easy, but after all it's just to give us a little understanding of how to navigate the zones, and we reach the end of it. And like in every friendly RPG with friends, colors and friendship, we have a mini-boss. It's a stronger sadness, it's blocking our path. If we want to reach the next floor, we must win. And you guys should open your goddamn ears. Despite having only two main battle themes, one for the normal enemies and one for the mini-bosses, they roll! I would have loved if they made more soundtracks for these. This first boss is a sphere which shows from time to time a different element, which will determine his attacks and his weaknesses. Okay, this mechanic is cute. It's not anything world-ending or incredible like, wow, now it's a different element, damn it, because we already have all the elements, it's not like we had to prepare for the battle or something, but it's the first boss, so I may excuse this. It's fine, it was funny regardless, and the music was a fantastic discovery. I am still listening to the music to this very day. If there is one thing this first boss battle can teach you, is how strong the all-out attacks are. Triggering it with some elements is already very easy now, and with the others will become even more easy later on with late game gears and craft skills. Being able to not only dealing incredible damage, but also fully restoring the HP of your party and reviving those who eventually died is incredible. It's the definition of offense is the best defense, and taking advantage of that, it's not long before the first floor is cleared. After our victory, we take a couple of minutes to relax in another room and to take some snacks. Okay, this moment too is very similar to what we saw in Start Again. Wait! It's clear! We changed something! Now that we are redoing the loop starting from the beginning of the dungeon, zones are placed differently, and the events which happen are gonna be different too! If we still assume that this is even the same house of Start Again, of course. But maybe it's too soon to make some speculation, okay? In the meantime, we go to the floor number 2 and reach the office of the head housemaiden of the house. The one who originally was supposed to defeat the king. But judging from what surrounds us, we can imagine she failed. It doesn't matter. Mira was able to escape and was blessed by the Change God. There is still a glimpse of hope in the distance. And there was even a giant rock! That was pretty lucky. We can just proceed with our adventure and... Huh? Door is closed, and the key to open it is in the head housemaiden office, which is now blocked by the rock. Ah. The next thing we have to do kinda terrifies me. Sif will voluntarily have to put himself in critical conditions or potentially die to be able to loop back and complete some puzzles. Okay, we are playing a video game, and maybe you do not feel this in the same way, but think for a second what's happening. Sif is on purpose dying, okay, freezing time is not exactly dying, but he's voluntarily offering himself to do something equal to dying, without even knowing how does this loop power work. Can you come back infinitely? Do certain deaths not count and you just die for good? I'm emphasizing it because we tend to be exposed to explicitly terrifying moments which by themselves are also good, but we may just happen to skim over stuff like this. Sifrin is killing himself voluntarily. Don't be distracted just because the characters are cute or something. What I'm trying to say is how little he cares about himself. He doesn't care at all if he has to die, or maybe he cares too much about his party to just make them give up on the mission. With that, we're back to the second floor, which is now one of the available locations for the fast travel. With the newly acquired key, we reach the library. Here, we get a new weapon for Odile, the heavy book, and it's so funny because if you think about it, what is Odile doing in her normal attack? She's using the book to slam in the face the sadnesses. That's an image which will always get stuck in my mind forever. And also, Odile seems kinda interested towards the books checked out of the library. Is her research related to that, maybe? There is another interesting thing we can find in here. Apparently, a whole land in the north disappeared from everyone's minds. They remember there was something there, but don't remember what it was, and just trying to pronounce its name apparently gives everyone a headache. You know, that seems kinda important to remember for later. And we reach another location where a loop may be needed, because there are 2 different sides with tiers, and we can only destroy one with our star crest. So, which side would you pick? The Virgin Mirabelle and Isabeau, or the Chad, Bonnie and Odile? And it's at the end. Of course I'm gonna pick Mira and Isabeau! With that, we can move on to the next floor, but not before another boss battle. This one is 2 sadnesses at the same time with 2 different weaknesses. 2 halves of the same body which compensate each other. And when one of the 2 will be near death, they will sacrifice themselves to power up the other. I wonder what happens if you even try to kill them both at the same time. In particular if they both die, or if there is an occurrence like with Orstein and Smoog in Dark Souls where even if they both die at the same time, one of the 2 will still get revived or something. But still, it was a breeze. The ascension is going surprisingly easier than I thought. Remember. In this next save room, Isabeau said something I would have never expected coming from him in particular. If someone dies, what should we do with the body? I mean, it's still a fair concern, don't get me wrong. After all, we already saw how strong the king is. Even though, it already made me feel as if they are considering the idea of failing. Is that the reason for which Sif didn't want to say their mission was in vain in Start Again? Because the morale was already very low? Were the others even actually happy? Or were they putting up a facade as well? A little side note from the post-production. I realized that the title screen changes dependently from where you are in the game. At the very start, Sifrin was sleeping in the title screen. Now, his eyes are opened, and he has a very sad expression on his face. During my gameplay, I think I missed some of them, but I still wanted you to know this information. And so, we're on to the last floor before the king. What's interesting is, the door is not even locked. It is blocked by hair, and we have to find a way to open it. As we go through the zones, we find a giant weird mirror. which is basically a camera. Using the power of crafting, it's able to take a picture of our friends and open up a new path with the smiling key on the ground, while also being able to have a nice shot to remember this moment forever. It is also important to note, the higher we go into the house, the more people frozen in time are found, as if most of them tried to hold the king as much as possible. We also get even more information about the Change God. His face is an ever-changing mask, because you cannot and you will not have always the same emotions. And then, there is a giant door. A giant door with the shape of what appears to be a star. And there is something written that you are not able to read. So, a giant island disappeared from the minds of everyone in the north, and then there are words you cannot read on a door with a star on it. It is clearly all connected. Those writings come from the island, so it is an island related to stars somehow. And maybe Steve's obsession with stars and not remembering where he comes from is because we come from that island? Okay, sorry, it's the end of the speculation moment. We keep going around and defeating those weird monsters which hold the star crest. Bonnie also mentions how they apparently smell like sugar. Do you... can you eat them? And then, of course, we fail the road and we loop. We take advantage of this loop to go back and talk to Loop. Also, if you want to play an interesting game, take a shot every time I say loop in the video. Maybe you are gonna be the one looping by the end. Back in floor 3, we get the best equipment ever for Isabeau. Gloves which change his normal attack to paper. Why that's incredible? Odile knows papercraft. Mira knows papercraft. Now even Isabeau can use papercraft. Therefore we can reach the all-out attack sooner. And remember, we know that the king is rock. And we loop again. This time the puzzle is different. You don't have to loop to the same floor. You have to loop to a previous floor because the key to this door is in the older floors. And this also brings another interesting information which is gonna show you how important the way in which you express stuff is. We discover having multiple names in Vanguard is a common tradition. It represents your ability to change, and of course, the Change God loves that. Also, if you decide to change genders, you already have another name. If I do change again, said by Isabeau, which means make 2 + 2, Isabeau is transgender. This! I think it's already been said multiple times in other pieces of media by other people much better and more cultured than me, but I still think it's important to repeat it. This, in my opinion, is the best way to introduce elements like this in a video game or in anything. Like, it's not something the game makes a huge deal about, as if the character itself is solely based around it. Up to now, we haven't said, oh look, it's Isabeau, the trans character. No. We have seen the enthusiastic yet very shy person that is Isabeau. Very strong, cares about the others, a fantastic comedic partner. You don't know the character because he's trans. You know that the character is trans. There is already a well-developed character at the very base to talk about, and then you know he's trans. It's like Dumbledore from Harry Potter. You don't think of him as, oh yeah, he was the gay character in Harry Potter. No, he was the strongest mage ever, and the stronger mage ever was gay. I really hope I expressed my point correctly, and if there are any trans people watching, I'm very interested to know your opinion on these. Now, let's continue. Other than that, there is something else we realize in here, and it's something actually more concerning. Sif realizes he sucks. Yeah, he realizes he sucks. Without the loop, the mission would have failed on floor number 1. He considers himself useless, inadequate. Not even able to protect those he cares about. Again, he doesn't care about having to die over and over to save them. He values his life very little, and it's even more clear in this moment. And then we found the bathroom again. The bathroom, in Start Again, you may remember is the moment in which Sif cannot hold it anymore and starts screaming. In here, instead, Sif is having the time of his life! He thanks God for this fantastic power which saved their journey! It was a blessing! It's so good being able to go back and fix your mistakes! And we are so close to the king! In the end of the corridor, we find an intact statue of the Change God and pray to him. This allows us to receive our form of blessing. A particular knife which is able to cut the hair which leads to the final room. But not before another mini-boss. And another realization. It was not the king who closed all the doors. The king's work may actually be seen only in the form of the tears and maybe some sadnesses, but it was the members of the house who tried to lock him here, trying to stop him, trying to prevent him from reaching the outside world. But it wasn't enough. Oh, boss fight! Cool music! Let's go! This enemy has multiple turns and is completely immune to all the forms of damage. What you have to do is to slowly get rid of the hands which surround him, and with each hand he will become more weak to a certain element. This is probably my favorite design of an enemy in these floors. Even though the battle itself, unfortunately, it's very easy, because by just killing a couple of the hands, he becomes the squishiest boss fight ever. But if the boss was easy, the discussion we have just a minute later is very hard, and hits very hard. After seeing her own roommate frozen in time, Mira makes a confession. She did not receive any blessing from the Change God. It was the head house maiden to save her. She realized too late it was impossible to be the king for her. So, she was able to save Mira so that she could try again. Why did she choose Mira? Why not anyone else, or herself, maybe? This doesn't really have an answer for now, but that final effort brought all of us here, in the final room, before where the king stands. Again. Good or bad decision, we are here, ready to give it our all. Ready to win. There is not much space for conversations. The king wants the world to stay exactly like this. We want the world to be able to change. There is no space for coming down to an agreement. Even though, can I say something? Mira basically insults the king for having this idea, but do you remember the chef in the town of Dormont which said that being frozen in time would also be a change, therefore it's good? Mira, are you sure you're a real follower of the change belief? But jokes aside, he also said something peculiar while looking in the direction of Sif. Do you remember? Huh? Is he talking about the loops? If we remember of having faced him in Start Again, we won't know for now. And the battle starts. And just as it starts, our hopes get crushed in a single second. Or better, in a single hit. One hit. That's all he required to deal with us. I guess our mission was a failure from the start. With the last remaining energy your party has, you all tell Bonnie to run away before it's too late. And then, the king strikes. With this, Sifrin's mind gets more and more dark. That feeling of death was horrible. How can we even resist against that attack? Is this the end of our journey? But fortunately, he's still able to cool down a little. After all, he's still alive. They are all still alive. And if they are alive, they can still try something. He has a plan. Maybe Mira knows something. She's the healer of the group, after all. And luckily enough, there is a secret library on the second floor of the house, which may contain what we're looking for. So after redoing again the normal routine at the clock tower, we set off for the house. Oh, by the way, yeah, in case you still didn't realize, every time we go back here, we don't have a direct way to go back to the house. We have to constantly re-go to the clock tower, hear the wholesome speech, and then Isabeau doesn't tell us anything. Over and over again. For us, it's like 3 minutes. But think about it in Sifrin's perspective for a second. Sif has to spend and waste a literal day every time he wants to try anything else in the house. It's curious. I was actually thinking exactly about that during the gameplay, and I got distracted. Even sadnesses have a special death animation. And honestly, it couldn't have come up in a better moment. This shows you even more how little Siffrin cares about himself compared to the others. If that didn't already surprise you, what Siffrin thinks about afterwards is even more important. What happens in there? Does that timeline where he dies move on? Does it keep on existing? Does it disappear? Or does he disappear from the timeline? And if that one keeps on going, does this mean there are multiple timelines? Most of which where the king already triumphed and everyone is frozen forever? What if Sif does not remember the events of Start Again because that was another timeline with another Sif? It's for sure something we cannot not consider, but it's also something not important to discuss now. Back in the library, we're able to find a secret passage which leads to another library. Other than another book we cannot read, there is a book which, using the carrot method technique, whatever that is, teaches Mira the new skill to shield the party. That's great! We can go for the king now! Here we are, once again, and he prepares his first attack. But at the same time, we are not gonna get caught by surprise. And with that, his first attack does not kill us, and the real battle begins. This battle feels slightly harder than the one we had on Start Again. Even if this time we have more skills and tools at our disposal, mostly the loud attack, the damage received is incredibly high. And this actually caused me to lose a couple of times. On one note, I gotta say, I appreciate this. It's complex to explain, but I am glad that you don't have to loop purely for the story moments and check other dialogues, etc., but also because there are some enemies which you genuinely have difficulties to beat, therefore you need some level ups. But then again, I'm sure in the comments there is gonna be, what do you mean, Frapolo? I was able to beat them all first try, this game is very easy, you are just bad. It is never too late to touch grass. From my experience, I can tell you the most important thing to do in this battle is to constantly buff your party speed and using a slow on the king. The more turns he gets, the less you'll be able to keep up with him. And slowly, his HP dropped below 50%. This is when he starts talking.
Don't you want it? This perfect ending?
The king sees in this moment the happiest event of our life. Being all united against a deity, standing on top of the world. The life of millions of people depends from this. Are we happy? Immortalized for the whole eternity in here? Why wouldn't we be happy to seal this moment forever? In front of that, our party seems almost stunned for a second. It is unclear if it's because they just didn't comprehend what he was saying, or because they actually thought about it. Is the king right? No. Mira speaks. She does not want to be stuck in here forever. There is much to live for outside. And there are much better things to do than fighting the king. This is just the beginning of our story. The Chad Odile even says writing about the king defeat is not even the main point of a resume. Everyone in here has dreams. The pilgrimage, clothing designer, seeing your sister again. Everyone in Vagard, in the world, wants to go on with their life. And even if Sif has some little hesitation, we are all ready to strike together for one final attack. And so, Mira strikes. The king leaves us with some mysterious words, and I guess we will never be able to see what he wanted to say. And honestly, it doesn't even matter anymore. We won. The battle, the war, everything. Everyone who was frozen by the king is now able to move again. The sun shines again in the sky, and our adventure is almost over. With the curse broken, the Headhouse Maiden present in the other room calls us. And in the meantime, Odile is scared of height! Another plus for the best character in the game! I am scared of height too, I love her! We can finally meet her, one of the first victims of the timecraft of the king. Euphrasie, the Head House Maiden. Euphrasie gives a final speech to thank all of us for saving the world, thanking Mira in particular for having put to good use the blessing she gave her. She was the last resort of mankind, and for sure, she was worth it. And with that, it's the end of our adventure. Bonnie will be able to see their sister again. Mira thanks us for traveling together and hopes to see us again. Isabeau is ready to say the thing! It's time! Come on! Tell Siffrin how you feel! Come on! Fuck you, Bonnie, you stupid idiot, you ruined everything! Okay, I guess our reward is the little cliché of love you moment. They weren't able to express their feelings. Whatever, I already didn't like Bonnie that much, now I just hate them. And then, of course, there is my queen, Odile. She thanks us for the work in a much more composed way, and she is ready to resume her research with joy. Also saying that she will miss us. Aww. And yeah, that's the end of the game. If you liked the video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. And let me know in the comments... Did you really forget what we were playing? We are back. Once again, when we thought everything was over, we are back. Except this time, Sif remembers. How can it feel? You thought you found the answer to end the loop, to end everything. You thought you saved the world, but it was all worthless. Was it even worth to start this whole journey then? If victory does not end this, then is this ability really a blessing? Siffrin didn't think about this up to now, but the loop is not in his full control. The loop was never in his powers. What if he's just stuck in here? Forever. Mira stops our delirious thoughts. But this doesn't change anything. Siffrin desperately wants someone to talk to about this. Sif wants someone to talk to. But Mira is not the right one. And I can't blame Sif. How may Mira react knowing her effort doesn't do anything? Knowing her despair for all of her friends now frozen in time is worthless. Or maybe Siffrin doesn't trust her. Right there at the end, the Head House Maiden said, "The world is rotten." We have no idea what she was talking about, but maybe Loop is gonna be able to help us. The only place in which we can still find some consolation. Even though apparently they're not even really that surprised about us still being stuck in the loop. But in any case, let's analyze the situation. Euphrasie was crying. She must have known something. She mentioned the world was rotten and then started crying. Also, there seems to be some weird similarity between the king being able to freeze people in time and our loops. Both of them influence time. The king may be able to tell us something. And after all, as Siffrin says, as long as you have paths to follow, you'll be fine. That's very true. Plan A didn't work, but we still have plan B, C, D. Even though one thing Siffrin or Loop didn't think about in this moment is... what happens once you have no more plans? Our next moves are try to talk to the king and try to talk to Euphrasie. They may know something more. But here Siffrin has an interesting thought. Why is Loop helping? And are they really helping? This entity, which calls themselves Loop, appears under the Tree of Favor and offers their help. They had access to our informations in the menu, and don't seem surprised by our actions being useless. Can we really trust them? Heh. Honestly, independently from what they say, and how well they may really mean it, there is one reason we must trust them. And I think you may know that reason. Without them, Sifrin would be left completely alone. Imagine not being able to talk to anyone, not being able to express your problems. In that precise situation, I think even your worst enemy would appear like a godsend in your eyes. Therefore, it's not important if Loop wants effectively to help or not. What's for certain, it's that it's a side quest time! Since we are stuck in a loop, we may as well just help our friends, right? Each one of them needs help with something, and it is our duty as a friend to help them. We are gonna go over all of them one by one, starting of course from Odile. Do you remember in the house she looked for the books checked out from the library? That's because she was actually searching for a Family Tales book. It's a book passed between multiple generations talking about the whole dynasty story. What do we do to solve this mission? Psh, very simple. You go back to the library, discover it was taken from someone in Dormont in the very town we are in. But then that person gave it to someone else. Then it was stolen, then it was taken, then it was given! After a boring ring around the rosy, we get the book and discover more about my queen. She's ready to tell us what she's actually researching. Are you ready? 3, 2, make your bets, 1... Nothing. Yeah, the whole research thing is a lie. She's actually here for herself, because she's half of a guardian, but she was abandoned as a child. She's here to try to know more about Vagard, and with some luck, maybe even about herself. But during this journey, she realized we are not only made of the place we live in, or the people that grows us up. We are also just ourselves, our own emotions. We have dreams, we have passions. And if today she was able to reach this resolution, it's also thanks to us. Us, Sifrin, the one who, as well, doesn't know where he comes from. I guess Sifrin and Odile had much more stuff in common than I thought. And I love this! Let's go! Can someone draw me a fan art of me and Odile hugging, please? I need it. Let's go to MiraQuest. She's basically going through Tinder. Yeah, it's a physical Tinder with paper and stuff, and it's actually revealed she doesn't really actually want to go out with any of them. She's fine by herself. There is just one problem. Change God. She doesn't want to change. She's good as she is. Which, honestly, if you allow me, is kinda hypocritical after she insulted the king for not wanting to change. But I actually agree with her. Why would you need to change if you're fine like you are? You could just change by not changing. Even though she says it doesn't really work like that. No. Sorry, what the fuck? No, okay. Do you remember, like, 30 minutes ago, I'm gonna explode. I'm gonna explode. Why? Changing by not changing, for how cliché as that sounds, would be a stupid idea and not doable. Bitch, you literally said you can choose to not wear that stupid brooch you have, because even breaking traditions is a way to follow the change god. What the fuck is this resolution? Okay, she's happy now because she talked to us. Hooray! Can I go back to Odile, please? I don't know, I like the message and all, the idea of not having to necessarily change if you're fine like you are, but it's in direct conflict with other stuff said by herself. Whatever. Let's go to Bonnie quest, I guess. Bonnie wants to train and be able to fight alongside us. Therefore, we go on a training session against some sadnesses. Okay. I like where this is going. This actually seems very cool. And honestly, Bonnie isn't even that bad at fighting. And without Bonnie, in this moment we would have died. Sifrin loses the balance while fighting a sadness, and Bonnie risks their life to save us. Here, it's revealed that Sifrin is missing an eye because he protected Bonnie against a sadness in the past. Siffrin is always getting hurt, trying to protect someone, and I think we know that especially well. With this, the two have a little resolution about wanting to protect each other. One for all, and all for one. And then there is the cutest hug scene I have ever seen in my life, huh? And with that, we arrive to the last quest, Isabeau. Which is not really a quest, it's more to relax a little bit. We go and watch the starry sky together. Isa talks to us about how he changed. He didn't like his old self, the classic nerd, very shy, never be able to express their opinion, and so he crafted himself how he wanted. He became buff and able to protect the ones he loved. That's also probably why he became a defender in the guard. But he may want to change again in the future. In different times, after all, we want different things. It's almost the opposite point of view than the one of Mirabelle, except the one of Mirabelle contradicts with her own same dialogue! And then the others arrive, and we have a good moment all together. This is probably the best version of everyone. Oh, and I forgot to tell you something important. With each one of these resolutions, each one of our party members learned a new skill. And these skills are only obtainable if you do these missions every single loop. If now we just decide to start again, we have to redo all of them. Maybe, now that everyone is the best version of themselves possible, maybe, if we arrive at the end of the castle, it will be different. Therefore, we enter into the house one last time. The end of the road may not be that distant after all. We just have to hurry up and reach the last floor. There is again that sadness. Screw it. Good. The sadness is dead. Now we can proceed, right? Right, What? Why? Everyone is looking at us in that way. Maybe it's better to not do that anymore. Let's not think about that, okay? Anyways, going through the house now is extremely easy. There are just a couple of things noteworthy which I want to mention. Odile on the first floor used to throw a coin to understand if the favor tree was able to make wishes come true, and usually the coin result was not the one she thought about, but this time it is. And on floor 2 there was a different type of discussion. And last but not least, on floor 3, we are loved. Everyone is happy. Is this the happiness the king briefly mentioned the last time? He talked about our happiness, and about how fighting him is the happiest moment in our life. But that's false. This is the happiest moment. Just staying with our friends. Staying with our family. Useless to say, all these new skills make everything incredibly easy, but most importantly, we can finally talk to the king. We can ask questions about various topics. We realize the existence of timecraft, a type of craft that no one is able to control, and that the king is using to stop everyone in time. Because, in his eyes, Vagard is perfect. It's of a beauty so majestic that he doesn't want it to change. That's why he stopped the time. But it's all futile, because in the end, our new power allows us to win. And so, Mira strikes again. After winning everything, we have another little talk with our family. This time, they are more lovely. There is more connection. Despite having to part our ways now, it really feels like we imprinted a permanent bond inside of them. Is this what it means to have a family? In particular, Isa, it seems he has put aside the feelings he may have had for us, and now it's just happy of being a part of our life. Maybe he wants to take it more slowly, wants to understand more of our feelings before doing that. Or maybe wants to change more to feel ready. But I guess only the time will be able to tell. And as the last thing, we talk once again to Euphrasie. Again? Nothing changed. Even this plan failed, but it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter. There is still time to think about more stuff, and in any case, everyone else is very happy. The only one afflicted by loops is Siffrin. The others are still happy. They see us. All the talk with the others, gone. Once again, we are unknown to their eyes. The others are again unknown. All the resolution they were able to gather, non-existent. This is the moment in which I think I was almost completely seeing the other Sif instead of this Siffrin. The Sif of Start Again. The one who is bored. But it's still not time to give up. Back to Loop, they want to talk to us the next day. We can just not go to the house. I mean, after that we just loop again and no one will ever realize that. Why even bother at this point? And so, the two of them spend hours discussing on top of the favor tree. It turns out the reason for which Loop wants to help Sif is because they know each other apparently. Is Loop from the island as well? From that North Island I speculated Sif coming from? That's how they know each other? But then, there was something weird. From the last floor of the house, there was a giant beam of light. And Loop tells us something shocking. That beam of light is there every single day of the loop. Every single day that we enter into the house. That beam of light is the first attack of the king. But why is the king attacking? We did not enter in there. We... We did not enter. This confirms loop theory. You do not loop only when you die, but also when some specific things happen, some things which make you think it's over, that you are basically dead. It happened with the sadness on the first floor, and it happened with the king. Despite the continuous stress and anxiety Sif is exposed to, he's able to resist. And I honestly think it's especially because of Loop. You all saw how Siffrin was reacting during Start Again. He was almost on the verge of collapsing. But again, why does not Siffrin remember about that? And why he seemed to have less control on everything? Back to the king, we ask some more questions. The king is using Timecraft, and Timecraft was possessed by the universe. Another entity of the same level of the Change God, and it is not known by Vagardian people. Yes, the king is not Vagardian. He came from somewhere else, probably that island, and imposed himself as the king. Back in the castle, we feverishly check for more information about the king. Apparently, the pattern on his armor reminds a lot of stars, and there is a room in the castle with a telescope and a nice view on the stars. Is this a thing you're supposed to remember? Is this what the king wants you to remember? But unfortunately, it is impossible to ask to the king, where are you from, since you cannot remember it either. The king wants you to remember the place you two share. The island who disappeared. The place no one can say out loud anymore. Your homeland. Is that it? Siffrin will just keep forgetting everything until nothing remains to be forgotten? Is he gonna forget again about his friends? After all, One time it already happened. But this time it's different. There are so many core memories imprinted in his memory, there is no way he forgets them again. And also, he has their photo. They will always be together in there. Perfectly frozen in time. Oh, wait a second. With your homeland disappeared. Is the king trying to prevent the same from happening here in Vagard? Where he was, apparently, gently welcomed when he had nothing? Does the king actually want to protect Vagard? With that, you have a final talk with him. The king understands. The king understands you remember, and together, maybe you two can defeat the Oblivion, and uncover the mystery behind your homeland. You just have to believe in it! They both start trying to say the name of their homeland. Both Sif and the king are heavily injured, but Sifrin's vision becomes darker, barely able to not lose your senses. It's cracking more and more. Just a couple more seconds, and it's gonna be over. But then, you hear someone screaming. Despite being back again, despite everything that happened, Sifrin is actually quite confident. There may be a way to cooperate with the king. After all, you were almost able to uncover the secret of the island. You two are comrades, you come from the same island. Maybe there is actually a way to make everyone win. So, please, king, let's stop fighting. If we are both trying to save Vagard, is there really a need to fight? We both are trying to do the same thing! And, in front of those declarations, from someone he clearly understood, comes from his same homeland. The king stops. Surprising everyone else, there was actually a way to talk it out. Sifrin and the king start recollecting together the few memories they may still have about their island. And remember what I said previously, about not having anyone to talk to, and having your worst enemy in front of you being actually a godsend? By this point, Sifrin saw the king so many times that they could almost be more than enemies, maybe even friends in another timeline. They share the same problem. Both of them are stuck and not able to move on. Maybe there is a way to change this. We can really get our happy ending all together. The king is ready to help. But does the king really not know what we're doing? While your guard was lowered, the king blocks you all and freezes you in time. You may be compatriots, you may both be trying to remember your homeland, but did you really think that the king would have let go the ambition he cultivated for all these years just because of a nice speech? But that's not over. The king noticed it. Noticed how Sifrin seemed to already know him. The king knows he already won multiple times and killed you multiple times. And then he says it. The supreme form of craft. The most powerful one known to mankind. Wishcraft. Sifrin is covered in a sweet scent. Something so powerful which allows you to loop the same events. Even if now the king kills you, you will just find the determination to come back in this same room and do it again, and again, and again. That's why, instead of breaking your body, he needs to break your motivation. If there is one thing which always happened in every single game over we got against the king, was Bonnie being able to escape. The king had still a little piece of heart in himself and allowed Bonnie to at least try to escape. But this time, it's different. He wants to break your spirit. And for sure, he succeeded. After waking up, Siffrin rushes to go and see Bonnie, still keeping up the script. Of course he knows it's a loop, and therefore Bonnie's gonna be fine, but after what happened, it's more for his personal sanity than anything else. Siffrin seems to be slowly reaching his limit once again. But at least, there is still one person he can talk to. Loop doesn't seem to know much about witchcraft, but still, we got a peculiar memory from the last time. It's called Memory of Memories. The memory to bring back knowledge of the forgotten language, of your hometown. Do you remember all the books we found in the house which we weren't able to read? And do you remember that strange door? Maybe it's finally time to interact with them. Despite everything we saw, we still cannot lose our motivation. There is still much to live for, and there are still multiple plans open to us. But before doing anything, I have an observation I wrote at the time while I was playing. Did you wonder how does the king know about witchcraft? And how does he recognize the sweet scent left by the witchcraft? Do you remember those enemies we can find in the castle which drop a star crest, which are considered sugary by Bonnie? It's clear. The king is using the witchcraft. Those entities in particular are a product of the witchcraft, and by destroying them, we are slowly destroying his own wish. Back to the game. He also developed a powerful move now, Just Attack. It deals incredible damage, and in my mind, this is the equivalent of the attack he did on the Sadness in the tutorial, when everyone else became shocked. Just in a more controlled way, we may say. And at last, now that we have the Memory of Memories, we can read what's written on the starry door. It's a very small room compared to the rest. You can mainly see a giant orrery in the middle, and then there is a diary. The diary talks about a person's internal conflict. No one, not even the closest people he has, would be able to understand his pain. The only one who would be able to understand him is himself. And that's why he takes advantage of the witchcraft to create a perfect replica. With this, we confirm two things. First of all, witchcraft actually exists. And second, witchcraft is busted! Crafting a perfect copy of yourself is something not even considered possible by Odile. And if our theory about the king being able to use witchcraft to block everyone in time is correct, it means it's basically an easier way to use timecraft. Witchcraft is basically plot armor, I don't know how to say. Let me explain, okay? After that, we go through the castle searching for more books, and it's revealed that for witchcraft you have to believe strongly in something for it to come true. God fucking damn. Okay, of course there has to be a ritual together with the strong belief, but still! As you're gonna see in a second, some of those rituals are very easy to do. Whatever, sorry, let's continue. So, it's revealed that the Favor Tree is one of those places. Odile wish to win the coin flip in the first loop did not work because she did not believe strongly enough in that. And that's where another interesting question arises. What would happen if two wishes were opposite to each other? Or if they just entered into conflict? Would they cancel? Or would they both happen at the same time? The king probably wished for Vagard to stop right now and never break this perfection. Did someone else wish for you to be stuck in forever? And you're gonna get a part of the answer to this in the head housemaiden office. Here, we realize Euphrasie predicted it all. She knew the king was gonna come. She knew a giant threat would have appeared in Vagard. And she made it so that everyone wished for Vagard to be saved. It's clear. It's evident why we loop now. For some reason, Siffrin became the embodiment of this wish. Siffrin obtained the time loop powers to stop the king. Siffrin is the last hope for Vagard. Even though this doesn't really answer to everything, for example, it's still not clear why we loop again once we overcome the king and we reach Euphrasie. But maybe she knows. She's the responsible for this. For sure she can help us. It's settled. Sif is the most joyous he has ever been. He's actually one step away from finishing everything. And goes talking to Loop for the final time before entering into the castle. And it's a weird feeling to describe, but I actually felt like Sifrin in this moment, and I was very grateful towards Loop. I feel that even me, as a player, was able to keep going thanks to Loop. It's a weird feeling. Not really in terms of gameplay and purely gameplay. It was more oh boy, I just discovered more informations. I can't actually wait to go to Loop and see what he says. You know, that kind of stuff. It's weird to describe, but I don't know, we may say chilling out with Loop under the favor tree is my comfort zone for this game, maybe? But in any case, Loop says something very important. A new theory. A theory we already briefly mentioned in the past. The Loop may be bound to the emotional state of Sifrin. Whenever you reach a moment which makes you feel like you are defeated, the Loop happens. Then, do we loop in front of Euphrasie because we think it's defeat? It's still something to think about. But for now, let's go back to the Headhouse Maiden. Which means, potentially, this king battle we have to do right now could be the last king battle ever. And of course, it's not gonna be easy. Sifrin is terrified of fighting him. He saw the true colors of the entity standing in front of him, and knows if he doesn't play his role perfectly, it may happen again. The king may notice what's happening with the Loop, and may grab Bonnie once again. Even in a moment of tension like this, the powers of everyone, channeled thanks to Mira, are able to pulverize the king. Sifrin was able to face his fears one more time, and now we are finally in front of the Headhouse Maiden. But not before attempting to hear what Isabeau wants to say once again! And no, the party is made of bastards, but here we're in front of Euphrasie, the final piece of the puzzle, the last thing we need to know to be able to escape. We know about witchcraft. She's able to confirm us she made everyone in Dormont wish for the safety of Vagard, and the fact we are here now means it worked. But unfortunately, celebrations are not destined to last. The loop is happening once again, and the giant smile Sifrin had on its face is quickly turned into a desperate request for help. Even if this loop is not the end of the journey, she must know a way to fix it. She must have any idea about how to cancel the wish made. Right? She has no idea about what to do. She doesn't even know why this is happening. Maybe there is something rotten in the wish. Maybe someone wished for the wish to fail. But she just has no idea. The only thing she can do is to apologize. You thought in here you were gonna get the last needed answer to escape. What you got was the understanding that you're even more alone than before. Back again in the garden, Sif has to scream to himself that everything is fine. But it really isn't. That was just a wrong test, right? You can do one more, maybe 2, 3, 1,000. Are you really able to resist one more loop in this place? What's even wrong with the wish? You are defeating the king, right? Wait. Defeating the king? No. Sifrin has never defeated the king. Mirabelle did it. Mirabelle deals the final blow in every battle you do. Is that the cause? Yeah, it's certainly that. And as long as you are with your family, you're fine. Or so he tells to himself. That's not his family. Those husks that just repeat the same dialogues over and over again in response to the same questions. They cannot change. Sifrin doesn't want to be here anymore. His spirit is almost fully broken. This may be the last loop in which he is able to repress the thoughts. He needs power. And he needs the strength of his party members. To be able to deal the final blow, he needs the special skills for the others, which means it's time for the side quests. First one is Mirabelle. She needs the shield skill, and fast. But there is something wrong in these dialogues. There is something wrong in Siffrin, and she notices as well. While Mirabelle is explaining her problems, Siffrin is just zoning out. Siffrin doesn't care. He already knows everything. And since he knows the solution Mirabelle gave to herself, why not just saying it? Being alone has to be accepted. As fast as possible, the sooner, the better. After all, you will always be alone. This time, her reaction was completely different. She was visibly hurt by our words. Maybe she was wrong about us. And so, she leaves for the clock tower. Mirabelle did not learn her skill. But it's fine. Looping back would just be a waste of time. And regardless, you can fix this after defeating the king, you know? It doesn't matter if she doesn't have the skill. You can still get the other 3, right? It's fine. Odile time. She was searching for a family tale, right? Why not just fast forwarding there? After all, we already know the girl has it. And just in a couple of seconds, the book is ours. Here we are. Everything is exactly like last time. Or... did we screw up again? Odile just starts wondering if we are okay or not. She notices we are tense. She keeps wasting time. She keeps wasting our time. At that point, is there even a reason to keep up the facade? Wow. That face genuinely terrified me the first time I saw it. But whatever. We don't need that skill. She already has some good skill regardless. The important thing is that we are the one to deal the final blow. Who is the next? Oh right, Bonnie. You don't even have to work there. Siffrin is really trying to do this as fast as possible. He is sick as hell of being in here and cannot resist a minute longer. So, Bonnie time. They wanted to get terrain or something. We all know what happens. Siffrin is gonna accidentally fall in the battle, and so Bonnie saves him and unlocks the new skill, so why not skipping some steps? Let's just fall automatically. This is what made Bonnie learn the skill, right? If I get hurt, you protect me, and if you get hurt, I protect you. Right? Even in here, not much success. But screw this. It's not like Bonnie was the most important part of the team, right? It was just a mediocre boost, and regardless, there is still Isabeau. Siffrin has always been a great friend with Isabeau. This should definitely be a piece of cake. But the others talked to him. The others already talked about our behavior. Surprisingly enough, Isabeau still maintains a reasonable conversation. He still wants to talk to us. He explains us he's worried. They are Mirabelle only wishes for you the best. They only want the best travel all the way here together. Come on, buddy. We can talk about travel all the way here. Boring. Maybe the real failure was even trying to talk to them in the first place. How do they not understand? Sifrin just wants to get the skills, follow the script, and kill the king. Why don't they help? This useless piece of... It's already over. All the chances of getting along well, at least with Isabeau, are out of the window. Why not just going all the way then? He's a coward, hypocrite, fake! He puts up a facade just to escape his real self and let the others do the work. I see, you can just live in your little funny world forever then! Are you even different than the king? It's fine. Just deal the final blow. Oh, right. There is still Loop to talk to. Who cares about the others? The only one who can really understand what's going on is Loop. We explained the plan to Loop. We just have to be the one to deal the finishing blow, and this breaks the wish, and everyone lives happily ever after. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. Eh? What? We forgot about multiple events. We are forgetting even right now. So, that's not even it? Then what are we supposed to do? At least Sifrin is trying to do something, unlike a certain other who just spends loop after loop after loop under a stupid tree without giving away almost any possible information. Loop already knew. Everything of this was useless. He already knew all our attempts were in vain, and they just stayed in the distance and watched. Ah, yes, let's see if you find a way, it will be funny. Screw this! Whatever. We don't need Loop, we don't need friends, we don't need anyone. Sif is sure it's gonna work. We just have to sleep at the clock tower, tomorrow we go to the house, and we win. But there was more. At the clock tower, they already finished eating, and they were having a discussion. A discussion about Sif. Is it even safe to enter the house with Sif? Are you gonna put your trust into a teammate like him? Would you put your life in their hands? And they all seemed to slowly agree with Odile. The next day, they are gonna go without Sif. Not only Sifrin was not able to give them their skills, but there is something he lost. Everything is broken at this point, and if you look closely, Sifrin is level 99. For us, a single second passed. But is that the result of countless loops spent inside of here just to gain enough strength to deal the finishing blow to the king? Normal sadnesses are nothing more than a joke. Skills don't matter anymore. Sifrin mastered all the different elements to be the most powerful possible. Items, interactions, nothing matters anymore. The house is distorting more and more each second, as if it is being confusing on purpose. The so familiar corridors we learned over the course of this gameplay are now even more of a hostile labyrinth. It's almost as if the house itself is preventing us from reaching the king. Who is the real threat anymore? It doesn't matter. It may not be determination, but our insanity drives our step all the way to the end of the first floor. Remember, in here there was a little funny mini-boss. But we are level 99. Their experience is useless. Do we even need them? The party members? For now, there weren't many difficulties. Even considering we are going through a more complex version of the house, we are invincible. It's just a matter of time until we reach the second mini-boss. Yeah, our teammates. As if they would ever come here. The thing which terrified me the most is that even if they are not in view, their words still resonate in our brain when we interact with something. They are clearly not in view, but we heard the same script so many times that at this point we can't not hear it. Everything repeats itself the same, except for that photo you take in front of the mirror. You have, of course, the joyful photo with everyone, and then you have something else. And with the last mini-boss, we are in front of the final room, just a few instants away from the end of it all, because dealing the final strike is gonna end it, right? This time, the king appeared to be more inclined towards talking while being alone with us. That's because at the end of the day, we are still part of the same country. We are still companions. But our visions will never follow the same direction. We don't need the housemaiden, we don't need the kid, we don't need anyone. We are the hero created to save Vagard. This is the real final battle. The endless time spent in the house built our body to be the ultimate machine of destruction. To think we entered for the first time at around level 50. Just how many loops passed at this point? How many things did we forget? Does Sifrin even remember the names of his party members anymore? Are we finally back to start again? Or maybe, what if this whole journey was just a part of the endless cycle which brought us to start again? What if we already know in our future we're gonna still be stuck in this place? We don't have a future. And that's why, when the king shows us a vision of it, we are barely able to resist. The king also notices the smell of sugar. It surrounds us. We carry the smell all around us. We are the real one who is trapping the world even more than the king. We may almost say we are the reason for which the king's wish got realized. It doesn't matter if we win or not. Vagard will keep existing forever. Maybe a part of us wants this too. But why? What happens in the future? Trying to empty our head, we keep striking. But the king's words leave almost no room for that. What did you wish for? Are we even certain this was caused by the people of Vagard? Then, why would we loop after defeating the king? Immersed in our thoughts, the freeze power of the king takes us. Our view becomes more and more obstructed. When time gets frozen, it's like sleeping. You just never wake up again. And Sifrin wants to sleep. Sifrin doesn't want to fight anymore. Even after being frozen, we can still move. Is this still the house? This reminds me of somewhere else. A place we have seen from the very start of our journey. It stands in front of us. It's the mal du pays, homesickness. It resembles ourselves. Why is it called homesickness? And why is this the thing we see every time we loop? But then, the figure starts speaking. Suddenly, we hear Bonnie's voice. If there really wasn't anything else to do, maybe we should have died. Not his sister, not him. We. Siffrin. And then Odile. Odile says we aren't friends, and she thinks we can't even be considered a real person. We are just so forgettable. And then Isabeau. Isabeau finally tells us the thing he wanted to say from the very beginning. He cannot stand us. Someone so afraid to change. Someone who doesn't even want to get touched. He despises us. And Mirabel deals the final blow. Mal du pays reincarnates all the stuff Siffrin is afraid of. The feeling of being abandoned, being considered unimportant, left apart, forgotten, and never being able to see the others again. And maybe what happened today, it's really for the best. For the best of all of them. If you just die, maybe they're gonna be able to move on. But nothing will change regardless. Another loop will just start again, and we will just have to wake up and do the same exact play. Couldn't we just not wake up anymore? Even if, for all the gameplay, Siffrin has been repeatedly killing himself to be able to go back and to try more stuff, in this moment, he contemplates eternal death. He almost wishes for suicide. Did they really travel all the way here to help us? Regardless of what happened, if they're here, if you're here with your family, maybe there is still a chance. There is still hope. Maybe, together, you can all come out of this. And so, the king strikes. But this time, Mirabel takes the lead. In this final craft, there is everything. The love for the others, the desire to save Bagard, and the will to defeat the king. The king's craft is reflected to the user. The king got hit by the same time craft he wanted to use on us. The one which freezes you in time forever. He wanted to make Bagard eternal, but the only thing which will remain eternal is him. But for a second, before it was over, he saw it all. The trees, the rivers, his hometown shined in his eyes. And it will stay in his head for all eternity. over, in a different way from the usual. In this way, it's almost as if the king's wish has been made real. Will this make a difference? Well, Sifrin is thinking about something else. The others rushed all the way here to help him, even after everything he said. And it was all, once again, thanks to Loop. Loop told them Sif went on the house by himself, and helped them to climb the labyrinth too. It was not only our perception. The house is really distorting more than usual, even for the others. But regardless, you all are safe, and once again, at the top. You are feeling very weak, almost at the point of collapsing. But it is time. It is time to have a talk with Euphrasie. It was not only the house. There is something fundamentally wrong with the very fabric of reality right now. Is this the rotten thing Euphrasie keeps mentioning? Is it finally breaking? And that's not the end. Maldupe is still with us. He's still following us. The fear of being abandoned. We reach the final room. No. It's the same again. She's repeating herself. But maybe, just maybe, it is better? Stuck forever with your family? Maybe that's the reason for which Maldupe is still following us. Maybe that is rotten. Our true essence, our true desires, they finally manifest themselves. It was not the king keeping us away from freedom. It was our own will blocking us in here. Deeply, we are the one who wish for the loops to happen. Deeply, we want to be stuck forever. We will not allow them to go home. After all this time, Sifrin realized the words the king pronounced a long time ago. This is the perfect moment of your life, being immortalized forever as the saviors of the world with your family. Sifrin starts harming himself. Who knows? Maybe long in the past, in a moment we already forgotten. We already had this final confrontation, but just forgot about it. But as he does, the others slowly recollect the thoughts about everything that happened, and starts realizing we have lived these same exact events many times, over and over. That would be the perfect moment to loop, escape once again from the problem, and keep living in here forever. Not this time. The Chad Odile uses her craft to stop us! I love this moment! Sorry, let's continue. I guess going solo through the whole castle all the way to level 99 weakened him enough to be blocked by Odile. Regardless of how powerful witchcraft is, there is a limit. And they start talking about everything. Witchcraft, the wishes of Vagard people, everything being centered on us, all while keeping you in place. You cannot loop anymore, you cannot kill yourself. The only possibility remaining is that wishes mixed together. What is the real wish Sifrin made back at the Tree of Favor? What is the one thing which is blocking everyone in here forever until Sifrin finally decides to move on? No. No. It doesn't matter. It will never be true, so there is no reason to tell them. There is no reason. There is... The reason is, He loves them too much. He is scared they will hate him for that. He is scared of what he saw in himself. But after taking a deep breath, he finally reveals it. Going to Kabul with Odile was not the real wish he made. Staying with them forever. After defeating the king, their ways will be parted. Bonnie will go back to their sister. Mirabel will start a pilgrimage. Odile will go to Kabul, and Isabeau will leave him as well. The so-called family they build will be fractured. He's gonna be left alone. The others, they want the same. They all have been scared of bringing up the argument, because they didn't know what the others were gonna say, but they actually feel in a similar way. The only difference, they did not trap everyone else in an endless cycle of doom. I'm sorry. They're not even that mad at him. After all, the reason for which all of this happened is because he loves them. And so, with this realization, the witchcraft is broken. The Headhouse Maiden is now able to speak about the future without causing a loop, and Siffrin exhausted his power. For a while, there will be no witchcraft probably. And even just by looking at the others in the party menu, I guess you can understand how does everyone feel. They will all stay together for a much longer time. Siffrin and Bonnie hug each other. With Mirabel, you decide to talk more during your new journey, to put more trust into your family, and talking about the real problems when it's time. Odile forgives us. After all, starting a time loop because you love your family is the cutest thing she ever heard. Cementing forever her position as the best girl of this freaking game. Long live Odile, goddammit! And then there is Isabeau. Will this be the time? The time where he tells us the thing? I honestly really hope this is the moment, because we just had a talk about explaining the others what's happening. If you now keep secrets, you're a bastard, okay? Like at the start of our journey, his hand reaches out for us. Like near the favor tree. And this time, Siffrin takes it. The hand does not go back. It is time to keep moving forward. God fucking damn it! This scene! This fucking scene is so rewarding! After all these loops and all the teasing we have had of this stupid Isabeau, being finally able to hear those words is... ah! This feels like beating Fear and Hunger needleworm only, god damn it! Yes guys, always look for a partner which makes you feel like if you beat needleworm only, okay? And so, we can talk to Euphrasie and finish our adventure. This time, the loop is no more. We can move forward. Wait, aren't you forgetting about anything? We still didn't thank the one person which made the others reach me. Back at the favor tree, you find nothing. Loop is not there. Except for one little thing on the ground. A silver coin. The same exact silver coin you have. The one of which you are sure there is only a single copy in the whole world. Wait a second. Witchcraft. Creating a replica. Providing support. How did Loop know that dealing the final blow wouldn't have changed anything? Siffrin does not remember of Start Again, because that was not Siffrin. Now that the truth is uncovered, he is able to show his true colors. Loop was a traveler like us. he found a family and made a desire. And then got stuck at the king. There is just one little difference. Siffrin gave up on the wish and almost caused the world to be ended. Loop gave up on their wish and wanted themselves to be ended. They wanted to live that world forever. And the same entity which answered the king's wishes, the universe, reached out for Loop. From the protagonist to another viewer of the events, being just able to stay in the side, while another Siffrin gets slowly broken. Siffrin stole everything from Loop. Loop had no choice. Except, right now, there is one last choice in front of him. From the amount of HP and damage he does, you can clearly understand how many times Loop tried to escape his fate in the past. Even that final victory we saw was not the end. It was just the beginning of his despair. After that, there must have been many more cycles, until they just couldn't continue anymore, being left alone in that situation. But here, it's much different. Even if we kill him, he's just gonna loop again. He can still do it. But we can't. This battle requires taking care perfectly of turn management and buffs and debuffs control. Being too slow will cause him to get too many turns and you're just gonna fall under his attacks. Not healing regularly means when you're gonna need the healing, it's gonna be in cooldown. But at least, even in case you failed, you can still listen more to this fantastic masterpiece of a soundtrack. During this battle, Loop confesses he had a much harder time with the king. He envies you. Your attempts went much better from the start. Why Loop deserves to become just an alien viewer of a world he doesn't belong to, while you get your happy ending with your family? What's even more terrifying is that Loop had to talk to the others to save you. That felt terrible. Not being recognized for the monstrosity he has become. Imagine if one day you come back home to your family and no one even knows who you are. But maybe, if Loop gets rid of you now, maybe there is a chance for him to become you. Or maybe he just doesn't want anyone to have an happy ending. Even though there is one thing Loop never considered. Our spirit was broken as well. Even just after the very first loop, we were already going crazy. There was just one thing which was able to make us keep holding on. Something which helped us to keep going. Something or someone. Don't you get it? The reason I succeeded? It's thanks to you. That's why this time it went differently. Having someone who was able to comprehend the gravity of the situation, being able to speculate with someone, relaxing under the tree. Without Loop, maybe we would have had a similar ending to the person who wrote the diary, or maybe we would have just had start again. And all the others, they are all very thankful to Loop too. If it wasn't for him, Siffrin would have just been frozen by the king, and maybe he would have relied on the universe as well. Loop is the real savior of Vagard and of the world. He sacrificed his own being just to allow a copy to free everyone. God damn it, I fucking love Loop character development. He went from being just an annoying side character to be the best character in this game, in my opinion. Even more than Odile, mind you. You need balls of steel to spontaneously decide to dwell forever in a world which does not belong to you, just to give someone else the future you wanted, okay? Loop is the best character, period! And in the end, he gives us his final goodbye. With that, we can go back to the house. Talking to Euphrasia means the end of our journey. Is it really gonna be fine? Is everything gonna loop again? It doesn't matter, because our family is there to hold our hands. From now on, no one is gonna be left behind. They're gonna stay with us forever. Our family will be eternal, both in stars and time. God fucking damn it, I just finished recording the audio for this. It's gonna require me so many hours to edit everything, but for a game like this, I really think it was worth it. Even if I found it a little too verbose in some parts, I really think I remained, and still are, very attached to these characters. I think this is one of those games you cannot play more than one time, because despite you being able to search for other little interactions and everything, and trust me, there are a lot, I feel like it's better to leave the events like this. It's paradoxical, because the whole game is based around not being stuck in time but moving on, and right now, I don't want to play this game anymore. But not because it's bad. Maybe exactly because the game was able to convey the message. God damn it. I don't know. I'm trying to record this part without skipping, without cutting any single second. And on one side, I think I can say that I too felt sometimes like Sifrin feels towards the others. Of course, I did not trap everyone in an endless loop, but I think we all have had those people which we are scared of scaring away. That we are scared of losing, because without them we would be incomplete and lonely. For sure, it made me reflect a lot, and I'm still thinking about it to this day. But okay, I know I'm just yapping at this point, so guys, this was In Stars and Time. Did you like this other long-form essay? Let me know in the comments. Also, if you liked the video, because it's draining my mental health to make videos this long, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. And for now, I was Frapolo94, and we are at the end.